The light that shines from that central edifice is as a beacon of hope.
It has been a year since the worldwide Baha'i community celebrated the inauguration of the Ark and Terraces on Mount Carmel, a moment that signalized the faith's emergence onto the world stage. The major plan of God is at work throughout the world, while it is propelling forward a social transformation of a magnitude never before witnessed. Fear and uncertainty grip the consciousness of a majority of the world's people. In November 2001, the Universal House of Justice praised the worldwide community for focusing on the work of the cause, despite the current distraction and distress. In that same message, the Universal House of Justice announced a new World Center Endowment Fund for maintaining the glorious buildings on Mount Carmel, so that the Friends will be able to contribute to the new fund. The National Spiritual Assembly has sacrificially made the decision to reduce the financial goals of the Kingdom Project. The new goal is now $36 million. To continue with the work of the Kingdom Project, pledges should be received by April 2003 and payments by April 2006. $12 million needs to be pledged over the next 12 months. While it is still a vibrant and essential part of Baha'i life during the 5-year plan, the Kingdom Project will now be focused on the most critical and urgent needs. The restoration of the house of worship continues to be the centerpiece. A new construction season has begun, and work on repairing the stairs and foundation will continue. The new classroom building and meeting hall at Green Acre is progressing. Another goal of the Kingdom Project is to make funds available to publish new books based on Baha'i teachings for the general public. This spring, the first of these new books will be released by Baha'i Publishing, an imprint of the Baha'i Publishing Trust created specifically for this purpose. Soon, seekers will be able to find information on the Baha'i faith in bookstores across the country.
Well, this really is a historic initiative because the Publishing Trust has never before entered what's called trade publishing in the United States in quite the same way.
Seeking Faith by Nathan Rutstein will be the first book published. Shipping to stores in mid-April, Seeking Faith explores questions such as how can we develop a greater purpose in life? How can we cultivate spiritual growth and find true happiness regardless of our circumstances? A Wayfarer's Guide to Bringing the Sacred Home by Joseph Shepard explores the spiritual connection between self, family, and community. A Wayfarer's Guide will ship to stores in May. Refresh and Gladden My Spirit, a compilation of Baha'i prayers and meditations, will ship in June. An introduction by Pamela Broad provides an excellent summary of what the Baha'i faith teaches about prayer and meditation.
Many people around the United States and many other places around the world, we know, are really searching for information, for guidance to apply to their lives, to the lives of their family members and loved ones. And books are one instrument that we can produce that will provide that kind of information and guidance.
The more books purchased by Baha'is and the public, the more likely it is that bookstores will keep a steady supply of Baha'i publishing titles on their shelves in the years ahead. If you do not find the books at a bookstore near you, you can also ask your local bookstore to order them. The books can also be incorporated into local teaching plans, fireside, study circles, Sunday schools, and proclamation events. To learn how you can become a partner in building the kingdom, check out the Kingdom Project website at www.kingdom-project.org or the administrative website www.usbnc.org.
Mrs. Brown, thank you so much. I'll put the material in the mail for you today. and a card with our telephone number, and I'll be calling you back in about a week. Thank you so much for calling. Bye-bye.
Over the last year, the San Francisco Bahai community has welcomed 20 new believers, and the local Bahai Center has come alive with seekers calling or visiting almost every day. The upsurge of growth began when the local spiritual assembly thoroughly studied the 5-year plan. They decided to open the doors of the community to embrace the entire city.
We now see ourselves as taking a leap of faith and operating as though we're the Baha'is, the Assembly of San Francisco, and planning for our entire city and not just for the Baha'is.
We are told to focus on children's classes and devotions and study circles, and it's really given us something to just be razor sharp focus on.
Sundays are always exciting days. Devotions start at 10 o'clock and it's open to the public. And then the children participate as well in devotions.
No refuge in the cave, the valley and the land, the sea and the island and the meadow, a mansion of God, they made His praise glorified.
Then they go off on the second floor and the Family Baha'i School takes place. We anticipate that by the end of the year, it will be open to the entire city of San Francisco.
I could be a little biased because I have 2 children, but I really think that the family school has brought a lot of spirit to the community. The children bring so much life to the community that it was just a void, I think, in our community before this.
And for the seekers and visitors, we have an introductory class.
I think the activity here at the center, especially on Sundays, that we've been building on, that's really helped to create a place that people can come to, feel comfortable, and learn more about the Baha'i faith.
In 2001, the Assembly hired a full-time teacher to answer seeker calls and welcome visitors to the center.
I asked if I could put into place an introductory class for seekers and visitors to the center, and I do this Sunday and Wednesday. But you know, in between, it doesn't matter who stops in at the center, I do a class. And then I started a study circle every Thursday. And within 3 weeks, a month, had the first enrollment here at the center.
Jordan Van Ryan grew up in San Francisco and has benefited from study circles.
Well, one night, as I usually do, I sit in my bed and read, and I was going through the garage looking for a book. We have tons of books on our shelves, and I found Portals to Freedom. Didn't really know what it was, but the title was really interesting. So I picked it up, started reading it. I started reading it, and this guy was talking about this person, Abdul Bahai, you know? I was like, Abdul Bahai? I hadn't really heard the name before. But he started describing him, and I thought, you know, this is a pretty amazing person. I thought just everyone should be like Abdul Bahai, you know? Well, I met Lydia at the center. She adopted me as my spiritual mother.
It's time to get Bahai.
Yes, he started study circles with me, and then I felt he needed to be with a youth class, and they were starting up a Ruhi Institute, and so that's where Jordan is.
Ruhi group really inspired me. I think it's just a great workbook, you know. It really deepens you and gets you focused, and it was just such like a spiritual vacation once a week, you know.
Jordan has since joined the San Francisco Youth Committee and continues to participate in community life.
Get wise.
There is a percentage of people already out there who are ready at this moment to accept the faith. So the main thing is just getting the word out there so at least those people can see.
The Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of Houston faced an enormous challenge.
In terms of square miles, Houston is one of the largest cities in all of the United States. Our Baha'i community, at least on paper, is approximately 900 people.
With only a few active Baha'is, the assembly was doing most of the work, and many people felt that they weren't needed. They found it wasn't worth it to drive an hour in traffic to attend a large meeting or feast, where they could come in and out without ever being noticed.
Nobody knew if where I was or what I was doing. I lived just blocks away from other Baha'is, but they did not know I was there.
The Spiritual Assembly could clearly see that people were feeling disconnected, so they decided to examine other big cities and see how they were dealing with similar challenges. One assembly member flew out to Portland, Oregon, to find out more about their idea to engage all of the community members in a year of service. Then at the Kingdom Conference, they got additional ideas from the Spiritual Assembly of New York City.
Basically, Assembly decided in order for us to grow and do things effectively, we need to trust the friends, we need to trust our committees, and we need to let them do the work of the faith.
They delegated, totally. They majorly delegated.
Next, the Spiritual Assembly divided the city into 7 neighborhoods where people can attend study circles, devotional gatherings, and neighborhood feasts close to where they live.
Part of the decentralization process that the Assembly came up with was to appoint a chairman for each feast, a secretary, and a treasurer. So we have assistant treasurers and secretaries at every feast.
It makes it extremely easy for me because, I mean, when you live close to anything that you want to attend, it just, you don't have to think about traffic or, you know, I mean, you have really no excuse for the most part of getting there.
I did get to meet new people that went to schools in my neighborhood, you know, people, like there was a Baha'i in my brother's geography class and he didn't even know it until he saw her at the neighborhood feast.
What's happened with those 7 neighborhoods is we've gone from, say, 90 to 100 people participating in our feasts to almost 200 people participating in our feasts.
But the administrative reorganization was only half the battle. Reconnecting with Baha'is that weren't participating in community life brought a new vitality and strengthened the community in the process.
I think it is time for us as a Baha'i community to reach out to these friends, bring them back, and make sure they understand that they're members of our family. We love them, we want them to come back. And I think it is up to us to make the first move.
The individual participation and those that are coming to feast have increased almost 100%, and our fund participation has gone up.
Freddie Baker made the effort to reach out and renew her friendship with Jerry, even though they hadn't seen each other in years.
I needed to be invited back into the group. I need to feel welcome, you know, that they know who I am. And finally this happened. This did happen.
Jerry now regularly attends his neighborhood feast and the Sunday devotional gathering over at Freddie's house. He is also one of the 35 volunteers that helps the treasurer.
I think it's tremendous that the Assembly is working so hard to give everybody a job, to make everybody feel like they're part. In our own way, we're helping to build the kingdom right here. And it's not the Assembly and us. It's all of us together.
Aware of the American people's growing concern about the country's unique role and responsibility in global affairs, the National Spiritual Assembly published a full-page advertisement in the New York Times of Sunday, December 23, 2001. It was entitled "The Destiny of America and the Promise of World Peace." The statement informed, challenged, and comforted all American citizens at a time of crisis, stating that the American nation will become a land of spiritual distinction and leadership, and a powerful servant of the cause of everlasting peace. The Baha'i community was encouraged to disseminate the statement widely. The Friends rallied to this call, taking advantage of unique local opportunities. It has been presented to city councils and published in newspapers nationwide, and has created a marked upsurge of interest in the Baha'i faith on the website.
My God, this has been the most positive statement I've read about the events surrounding the September 11th attack on the United States. It was so good and so positive that I copied it and have sent it to my brother, sister, brother's girlfriend, and others. I sincerely wish the predictions and prayers expressed in the article come true. They are absolutely and totally beautiful.
The Universal House of Justice responded to the initiative by saying, "May this produce ripples of proclamation of our world-redeeming cause that will spread from your nation and encircle the globe."
It was purely by accident. I just took a picture. My daughter and I were attending the Battle of Flowers Parade during Fiesta Week here in San Antonio. And I just, like I said, took a picture of the Bahai float. And it's a pretty unique float. I made a call. I looked up the Bahai faith in the telephone book and everything. That's when I spoke with one of the members here. He invited me over, and I did tell him about the picture. I just wanted to drop it off. When I got here, everyone seemed so warm. They welcomed me with open arms, and I've been coming here ever since. As I kept coming back to the firesides, some of the Bahai writings and the prayers and things like that, they started to make sense to me. And the one line that really gets to me is, "Oh God, thou art more friend to me than I am to myself." I've said the prayer several times, and it really didn't dawn at me until one particular day I realized that that's a very deep thought. That is really it's to the core of myself. I know that without any doubt in my heart that I can go anywhere and I'm not alone. That God is with me, period.
I've known about the Baha'i faith since about 1957, when my sister, an older sister, became a Baha'i. And her whole disposition, the way she did everything just changed, you know.
I think Betty is a really good example of the kind of Baha'is that we're finding here. They always seem to be people that once they hear about what the faith is, they will identify themselves. Yeah, I think I'm one of those. I think I'm a Baha'i.
I guess in 2001, they advertised on National Public Radio, our local station, that they were having Race Unity Day here. And it was also advertised in all of the local newspapers. And I came with the intentions of joining.
What we're trying to do now is when someone comes to a meeting or they call, the first thing we want to do is, well, let's give you the Baha'i orientation. It's about 30 minutes. You'll get the big picture. You understand everything.
When I met with Larry and he described to me who Baha'u'llah was, who the Bab was, it fell in line with what I already conceptually thought.
You know, and we go through the laws, administration, everything you're supposed to go through. And we're inviting people to join after they hear the orientation.
And I joined that day. When I became a Baha'i, I called my sister and I told her. She had no idea all these years how much I thought of her. She just didn't know that becoming a Baha'i in the 50s was one of the best things she could have ever done for me.
One night I was sitting there alone, and she was also there alone. And when she got up to leave, I noticed she was very upset. She was on the verge of crying.
At the time in my life, I was, I guess, I was spiritually kind of lost.
It occurred to me that we were just about to start a course on reflections on the life of the spirit. And this might be something, because she had expressed a lot of strong religious and spiritual beliefs.
He briefly described what the study circle would entail and asked if I'd be interested, and it seemed very interesting and it'd be a great opportunity. So I agreed to go.
It occurred to me that I should ask Monica if she wants to be a Baha'i. And I said, well, are you not a Baha'i, Monica? And she said, well. I said, do you believe in Baha'u'llah? And she said, yes. And I said, do you want to be a Baha'i? And she said, yes.
Growing up as a Christian, I knew that God was so important in my life, and I think that the Baha'i faith has sort of revived that in me.
No matter who you are or what you are, you have a place here. You are welcome in the Baha'i faith, in the Baha'i community, no matter what.
To be a Baha'i simply means to love all the world, to love humanity, and to serve it, to work for universal peace and universal brotherhood. Abdul Baha. Abdul Baha. Abdul Baha.
For more than 30 years, Brilliant Star magazine has provided the youngest members of our community with materials that nurture their identity as young Baha'is.
Brilliant Star is a communication from our National Spiritual Assembly to the children. And it's really a great tool because it helps the children with their Baha'i identity.
Fundamental to enabling our little ones to become brilliant stars, it provides opportunities for parents and teachers to become involved in the process of the spiritual development of our children. The National Spiritual Assembly has asked the editors of Brilliant Star magazine to set a goal to get this vital tool into every Baha'i household in America. Another goal of the effort is to promote the magazine's distribution and usage at Baha'i schools.
Well, the Brilliant Star has always been a wonderful source for teachers and parents, anyone trying to teach children about the Baha'i faith. As you know, we develop an annual theme of study for the entire American Baha'i community so that the adults are studying along those themes at the summer schools and the children as well. And one of the things we develop is a teacher's toolbox. And the teacher's toolbox is just pages and pages of activities and lessons and things for teachers to do that address the annual theme of study. At the same time, the Brilliant Star publishes an issue that corresponds to this teacher's toolbox so that the teachers can not only use the lessons and activities in the toolbox, but they can give this issue of Brilliant Star as gifts to the children, and they work with this as well as at the summer schools.
Another goal of this effort includes giving subscriptions to all American Indian Baha'i families living on reservations.
You know, our children are very responsible. When we ask them to do something, they usually feel they're responsible and they want to do it. They want to do a good job. And they've been asked by our NSA in the 5-year plan to teach the faith to their friends. So we wanted to help our Baha'i children, and we created this issue. It's a teaching tool really for the kids, and it's called the Baha'i Faith. And this is the first time really Brilliant Star has done anything like this, where this issue is meant not only for our Baha'i children, but it's also meant for the children who are seeking the Baha'i faith.
It's so special for children to actually receive something of their own in the mail. And when the kids receive the Brilliant Star, they know it's theirs, they know it's for them. Even though, you know, as I said, teachers and parents use it as a teaching tool, and it ends up being something that the family can come together and share with the child. And I think this, along with so many other experiences throughout the life of a child, helps them cement their identity as Baha'is into the future.
To be a Baha'i simply means to love all the world, to love humanity, and try to serve it, to work for universal peace and universal brotherhood. Abdul Baha.